So today's video is all about following up on leads and basically making sure that your conversion rate from initial inquiry through to a book survey is as high as possible. So this video is actually from our paid program called Renewables Lead Gen Mastery, as you can see up here. So in this program, we essentially teach installers how to set up and manage their lead generation in-house rather than relying on agencies or lead providers. And this video is probably one of the most important. It goes over the exact process our call center has used for dozens and dozens of clients that we've called for, and exactly how we have booked hundreds of surveys within the renewables industry for our clients. So if you do find this video valuable, you can find more information about our services down below. But other than that, let's jump straight into the video. Hello and welcome to Bulletproof Follow-Up Process. So in this video, we're going to first of all run through the importance of your follow-up process with the leads that you generate. Within that, we're going to look at speed to lead and persistence, and then finally run through our recommended follow-up process for you. So jumping straight into it, the ability to actually handle leads effectively is a really underappreciated part of the sales process. And it's one that unfortunately a lot of installers are very poor at, even without realizing. So some of the common things we hear are, this lead won't pick up the phone, obviously they aren't interested, or I can't book these leads in, they must be poor quality, or even something like, I've called a few times, I've left a voicemail, I've done everything I can. So on the surface, I can see why a lot of installers would say these things, but they are all completely wrong. So if you do have the mentality that leads don't convert because they are poor quality, then it's one that you need to shift immediately. I'm not saying that it doesn't have any validity ever, and unfortunately there are companies out there who pass around poor leads or completely unqualified leads, but the victim mentality of always blaming the lead of why they don't convert means that you don't take accountability for what you are in control of, which is your speed to lead and persistence, which is how many times are you actually following up on that lead. So if you do have this victim mentality, you'll just always be stuck in a constant cycle of trying lead sources and not getting anywhere. You'll be looking for a magic lead source where leads pick up the phone straight away, ready to book in, and unfortunately this just doesn't exist. So rather than having the mentality of how can I find the best quality of leads, you need to have the mentality of how can I maximize every opportunity that comes through to my business. And once you genuinely do start thinking like that and maximizing everything, then we can start looking at lead quality. And a fun fact that I've posted about a couple of times on LinkedIn is the fact that all of our highest converting clients, so the ones that convert most of the leads into appointments and most appointments to sales, barely, if ever, moan about lead quality. They are always in the mentality of doing everything that they can to convert leads we send over. So essentially any inquiry, whether it's a warm referral or with someone ready to buy, or just a speculative email asking for prices, that's an opportunity worth thousands to your business, so you really should treat it as such. And this is even more important if you're actually investing time and money, which obviously everyone watching this video is, into generating these leads, because generating them is half the battle. The other half is actually getting the opportunity to sell and to pitch to them. And in short, regardless of lead quality, you're going to close a lot more deals if your follow-up process is 100% bulletproof and you're literally doing everything you can to get hold of these leads and sell to these leads. As a quick side note before I move on, eco installers have the most genuine reason to actually blame lead quality, because ultimately if they don't qualify for the scheme, it doesn't matter if you get hold of them or not. But even having said that, you should still be maximising every opportunity and doing everything you can to get these leads on the phone. So when we look at your sort of follow-up process and your appointment booking process, I think a leaky pipe is a really good analogy for it. So at the top of the pipe, you've got an influx of leads, inquiries coming into your business, whether that's Facebook ads, your website, door to door. These are all coming into your pipe, which is the sales process. If you have a leak in your pipe, in this case, a poor follow-up process, then you're going to be losing water, aka money, sales, and at the end of the pipe, you're going to have less money and sales coming at the end of it. So what you really need to do is make sure your pipe is working as it should do. Everything is flowing through this process really smoothly, and you're not losing any leads because of a leaky pipe, essentially. So the first thing that we'll touch upon in regards to improving contact rates, and the most important thing, is the speed at which you contact an inquiry when it comes in. It is the single most important thing, and also the most neglected thing in most installers' sales process. So if you're taking hours or even worse days to actually phone an inquiry, then you're literally throwing away money. It doesn't matter if it's a website inquiry, Facebook lead, a referral, anything that comes into your business should be contacted immediately. And a stat that we share all the time on our discovery calls with installers is that if you call your leads within 5 minutes, they are 8 times more likely to be contactable. That's not some made up stat, it's from a study that has reviewed over 5.7 million inbound leads from 400 companies, which you can read more about here. But essentially, if you're calling your leads immediately, they're just so much more likely to actually pick up the phone and actually convert into a sale. And right now, you should be asking yourself the question, what would my business look like if I converted 8 times more leads? The answer is probably quite good. So just on that, we'll break down a little example. So let's say your business gets 50 leads per month. It doesn't matter where they come from, adverts, websites, etc. You currently call your leads on average 4 hours after they come through, and you have a 20% booking rate from lead to appointment. If you close at 1 out of 3 of your appointments, from 50 leads, you get 3 or 4 sales. However, if you were to call all of these leads within 5 minutes of their inquiry, we can comfortably say your booking rate will double to 40%. Therefore, you have 20 appointments rather than 10, and 6 to 8 sales rather than 3 to 4. If you're selling a product at £10,000, that is £30,000 to £40,000 a month that you're throwing away, or £360,000 to £480,000 a year in missed revenue just because of how quickly you pick up the phone and respond to people. So hopefully that puts it into a little bit of context, but calling your leads faster is one of the easiest but highest leverage activities you can focus on to actually improve your sales process with basically no costs associated with it. So in just one day, there are a million reasons why a lead might no longer pick up the phone to you. So they might have gone off the idea, they might have read a bad news article, forgot what number you're going to be calling from, they might have already inquired with a competitor who's booked them in. There's dozens and dozens of reasons why if you don't call them straight away, they can drop off. On the flip side, if you do call them within 5 minutes, the idea of your service and product is fresh in their mind, they actually remember your company name, they're actively in the buying mood, they're scrolling on Facebook or your website, actively inquiring about these services. They remember the amazing advert and offer that you just put in front of them that made them sign up. They're more likely to pick up the phone. So if they inquired 2 minutes ago, they are likely not doing anything important. So if you call them, they're more likely to pick up. They wouldn't have inquired with 5 of your competitors. And also, I think another thing that is underappreciated is you look very professional and like you value their inquiry. I'm sure you've had it on customer service where it's a live chat where if they take ages to get back to you, it just puts you off them. If you're calling people straight away, it's a great first impression essentially. So in an earlier module, we've helped you set up instant notifications for fresh leads. We've set up a thank you page and even shown you how to track your speed to lead stats. But it's really now on you and your business to ensure all of these leads coming in are called immediately with no excuses. It doesn't matter what you're doing unless you're actually speaking to another customer. You should pause it and call that lead, even if it's to literally just acknowledge their inquiry and let them know you'll be in touch when you're back in the office. It comes across professional and that you genuinely care, which people appreciate. And ultimately, if you're on the ball like that from the first impression, it's going to build trust because you're selling, if you're a heat pump or solar installer, a product that is thousands, if not tens of thousands of pounds. If people don't trust you, they're not going to buy. The second most important thing after speed to lead is persistence, because put quite simply, the more times that you try calling your leads, the more likely they are to pick up the phone, which shouldn't be a massive surprise. Despite this, there's so many businesses that will call 2 or 3 times and think they've tried their best. At the end of the day, these people have actually signed up to be contacted by you, so don't think you're harassing them or disturbing them by calling them multiple times. The reason they've signed up is because they likely have a genuine problem, whether that's a faulty boiler, high electricity bills, cold home. They have these problems that they want you to solve. And another stat from the same study that I referred to earlier is that 81% of businesses make 5 or fewer attempts to contact leads. And if you look at the diagram that was part of the report, 7 or more follow-up attempts yields 15% more connections to leads. So you can get 15% more leads on the phone if you just follow up more times. And at the end of the day, you can lose out on leads because they go with a cheaper offer like Octopus or another company is a better salesman, but you don't want to lose out for leads because you didn't try hard enough. Again, like the example earlier, there are dozens of reasons why people might not pick up your first few calls. Their work schedule, they're on holiday, they've got a personal issue, they didn't have their phone on them. Whatever it is, there's probably a genuine reason they couldn't pick up the phone. And just because they don't get back to you in their first couple of calls, it doesn't mean that they are not interested or a poor quality lead. It just means that you, as a salesperson, as a company, haven't tried hard enough. So now we've sort of covered the importance of speed to lead and persistence, I'm now going to run you through our recommended follow-up process. So this is one that our in-house call centre follows. So we've tried and tested this. We use it for all of our clients every single day. And attached to this video, there'll be a little resource with a workflow, kind of breaking it down into a more visual diagram for you to look through. But in sort of the prior modules on the CRM, you should have set up a mixture of automated touch points. So WhatsApp, email, SMS, they are all great. They're going to save you a lot of time, but nothing is going to beat picking up the phone and actually calling the leads. And on our CRM, it is essentially pre-built to make it as easy as possible for you to call these leads. So when we go in on the pipeline, it will be set up like so. So like we would have gone through previously, day 1 AM, PM, all the way through to day 7 AM and PM. So when you call a lead and they don't pick up, they'll just move across this pipeline, and it's going to force you to keep calling these leads at least 14 times, at least 2 times a day. If you don't, they'll just keep reappearing in the power dialer that we showed you. So it just makes it super straightforward to ensure that before all these leads are marked as disqualified, they are being called, multiple times a day for at least a week. So following the below, if you actually genuinely commit to following this follow-up process, you can never have an issue with contact rates again. That doesn't mean you're going to get hold of every single lead that comes in, but that means that if you consistently follow this, you can never look at contact rate as being an issue or something that you need to work on. So some general rules. First of all, mix up the times that you're calling. You should try calling before 9 AM and in particular after 5 PM as well as weekends. People have lives, they're often working between 9 and 5 just like you, and they can't drop what they're doing to answer your call whilst they're at work. So if you're constantly calling people at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and not picking up, it's probably because they're busy at work. You need to try calling before 9, after 5. Obviously, do it within reason, don't be calling people at midnight, but between 5 and 8 PM is a completely acceptable time to call through your leads and try and get hold of people. Second one, and one that a lot of companies don't seem to know, is that if you call from a mobile number, your pickup rate will be a lot better. Landlines, I'm sure if you see a landline number you don't know pop up on your phone, you just think it's spam. With a mobile number, it doesn't have that same flagging in your head. People are a lot more likely to pick up to a mobile number than a landline. Third rule is if they don't pick up, then leave a friendly sort of casual message. So that'd be via voicemail, text or WhatsApp. Let them know who you are, where you're calling from, and that you're going to be trying again. So there's sort of 3 general rules to apply in terms of when to actually call and how frequently to call. So the first phone call, as discussed, should be ASAP, so ideally within 5 minutes. If they don't pick up the first call, you double dial them. So this means that if it goes to voicemail, you literally dial them again straight away. So this does 2 things. First of all, it breaks do not disturb on people's phones. So if they're on silent or if it just vibrates, it will start ringing. Second of all, it will increase the pickup rate. If you see someone call you twice very quickly, you probably think it's important, you're going to pick up the phone. You don't want to do this every single time, but the first time a lead comes through, you want to be double dialing. Then days 1 through till 4, you want to be calling the leads 2 times a day. And as mentioned before, you want to vary the times that you're calling. So don't always call at the same times. Try after 5 PM, try a Saturday. Just make sure you mix it up. Then days 4 through till 7, again, you want to call 2 times per day from a different number. People probably keep seeing that same number pop up. They're going to start subconsciously ignoring it. You want to get a new mobile number and start the process again until you've dialed that lead at least 14 times. So only after a week and at least 14 dials with no response can you actually now mark them as lost. So you mark them as uncontactable in the CRM. But even at that point, you should still keep them in the CRM for long-term nurture sequences. So email campaigns, SMS campaigns that are value driven, obviously unless they unsubscribe, because at some point these people might see the issue that they originally signed up for on your advert reappear. It might become an even bigger issue, And when that is the case, you want to be top of mind. They've seen all your emails for the past few months. They think, okay, I'm now going to give this company a call and get a quote or get a survey, whatever it might be. So implementing the above process may seem extreme or time intensive, which it is, but it will absolutely maximize your results that you'll achieve, not just from this program, but from wherever you get your leads. A lot of installers think that the answer to their lead generation issues is just spending more money or trying a different agency, but they're not doing the basic things right, like calling in the leads enough or calling them quick enough. So before you go ahead and start throwing more money or trying different things, just first focus on the easiest, the simplest things that are going to be really high leverage, like your speed to lead and persistence. So just on that, when it comes to sales and customer acquisition, you can essentially do one of the following to get more customers. You can do more of what you're currently doing, you can do what you're currently doing better, or you can do it, or you can do something else new. You should try these in this order. So you should think, can I just do more of what I'm doing? If not, can I do what I'm doing better? If not, can I try something new? So in this case, more would be doing more phone calls, i.e. being more persistent, and better would be being quicker to call your leads. So always start with more or better before new, because we see so many companies that have struggled with lead generation. They always think new. What else can I try? Can I try Facebook ads? Can I try this agency? Can I try this lead gen? Whereas they've not even considered the fact that they can just do what they're currently doing better or just do more of it. So summary for this video, I want to keep quite simple. For all the leads you generate, I want you to call them in under 5 minutes. If they don't pick up, I want you to call them 2 times per day for 7 days. Really straightforward, doesn't cost any money, costs a little bit of time, but it's really going to maximize your results. So yeah, any questions on this video, obviously pop them in the community, but I just really want to stress that generating leads really is only half the battle. And if you are not going to follow up on them properly, leave them there for hours, then you're not going to see the results that you should do from the program. So please just try as much as you can to call the leads straight away, and we look forward to seeing your results doing that.